Clean up on aisle 9 because the Suns just whizzed all over the Wizards. Psychos and sickos unite for a magical edition of the PHNX Suns postgame show, of course brought to you by our friends over at Bet365. Download Bet365 app, use code PHNX365, deposit 10, place a bet for 5, get $200 in bonus bets. I'm Eric, that's Skill. We got Espo, we got the freckled mamba behind the Mac, making all of the magic happen. And of course, Steven will call us from the morgue as the Phoenix Suns vault to 9 games above 500 after sleepwalking to a 112-93 victory over the Washington Wizards. Their second victory in a couple of days where they just completely eviscerated a lesser team, of course, sandwiched between wins against OKC and the Knicks as well. What a week for the Suns, who are 9 games above 500. They've won 9 out of their last 11 games. And by the way, they haven't lost to a team under 500 since November 16th. That is almost 2 months undefeated against teams under 500. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Fellas, are the Suns going to hit the over on their win total this season?
I like their chances.
Okay.
I like their chances. 44 chances, 43 chances to get 7 wins. I like their chances.
What did I tell you? End of December. It was going to be before the end of January. We're well on our way. It's going to happen. Ayrton, do you have it ready, by the way? It is time to put the Wizards on that slab, put the toe tag on them, and slam that drawer shut because the morgue took another victim. The Wizards are done.
The Phoenix Suns, man, this team continues to impress. 14-5 at home on the season. This was a game that a lot of people played really well. It was kind of hard to decide our dude of the night, our blue-collar boy of the night. And Gil, I just think that's a testament to who this team is. Not a single player over 20 points on the evening. Nobody played over 30 minutes on the evening. And yeah, they beat up on a Wizards team that hasn't won 5 games on the road yet this season, is now 10-28 overall, but a Wizards team that had been playing okay basketball the last couple of weeks. The Suns did what good teams do, and that is sweep the floor with teams like the Washington Wizards.
Sweep the floor and sweep the season series, and all the things you mentioned are very true about this Wizards team. A young team in the NBA, but a talented team. So they're not just a bunch of misfits and guys who can't play, right? This is a team who they have a clear identity, what they're trying to become. So it wasn't like this is a team you just show up and beat. The Suns actually dismantled them little by little. They were the superior team tonight. And Trey Johnson, Alex Sarr, 2 very talented young players in the NBA. Keyshawn George, another guy who we'll see have a good career in this league. He was held to 5 points on 2 of 10 shooting in this game. So think about what the Suns did. The fact that nobody played over 30 minutes, as you alluded to already, as you mentioned, the fact that 7 different players finished in double figures, just thorough. What they did, they got their job done, wiped their hands clean, and sat down and enjoyed the rest of the evening.
Yeah, and I mean, Sarr and Johnson had a decent game, but what the Suns did was they took away everybody else. Like, it was like, okay, you guys can have 19 apiece, but we're going to shut down everybody else on your roster, and we're just going to walk to this victory. And they, again, you've said it, this is what good teams do. They just take care of business, and one game at a time. They do not overlook anybody. They do not overlook any portion of a game. They go out there and they methodically just take care of business.
It's definitely makings of a trap game because you're thinking about what lies ahead this week and beyond, and you're like, oh, whatever, the Wizards are here. And maybe you beat them, but maybe it goes into overtime, or maybe you have to play the starters into the 30s. Didn't happen because this team is definitely taking it one game at a time, and that's why they're so successful.
One in that first quarter, it was kind of close. I mean, it was 32-28. Washington shot over 50% from the field, 55% from the field in that first quarter. Alex Sarr, who was a complete nothing last game when Mark Williams didn't play, started off really great. 19 and 15 for him tonight. He was really impressive. Like, I thought the Wizards at the beginning of the game did push the Suns a little bit, but how many times have we seen the Suns kind of hang around or play a sloppy first quarter-ish relative to their standards, and then just slowly over the game, it's like, oh, well, all of a sudden it's a 10-point lead, and they don't turn back. Like, this isn't a perfect basketball team, but when you go down the list and you try to check off all of the things that you want a good team, maybe a great team to do, the Suns do all of them. They have top-end scorer in Devin Booker, hopefully Jalen Green, and now Dillon Brooks as well. They've got scrappy guys who could hit threes and pass the ball. Royce O'Neale, Colin Gillespie. They have a bench mob that came in and actually put the Wizards away tonight. That's when the lead was really built, was when that bench came in. And then they can go into their third string units as well. And those guys come in and they play. They all try hard, they rebound, and they're coached well. These are all the boxes that the Suns check. And when you check those boxes, it's hard for the Wizards to do anything about it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to play it. The Wizards are not a good team, but you went out and you did what you need to. In those first quarters, that's the Suns. I mean, you go back and look at most first quarters, it usually is within 3 or 4 points either way. It's kind of, okay, you saw pockets of good. You saw pockets where you're like, I don't know about that. But then they turn it on. They find a way to slowly build those up. A lot of the time, those leads are built up by that second unit because they come in and do little things as well. Tonight, Devin Booker looked really good early on in that first half, and they just took care of business. It's that simple in a game like this. There's nothing flashy for the most part. I mean, there are a few things that were exciting, but overall, it was they're just going to go out there and do what they do best.
And to the point about starting the game in the first quarter, it's fair to say that I think this team is getting a feel for how it's going to go, what kind of game it's going to be, how it's going to be officiated, whether the team that they're playing against is ready, what they're coming with. Because you look at it, you mentioned +4 after one, +11 in the second quarter. So you go in the half up 15. Then y'all scoring by 14 at third, and you got 29-point lead going to the final frame. And it was just like, cool, led by as many as 32 points in this game. And what that shows me is that this team wears people down. The way that they play, they're continuously just not stopping. And I think that wears teams down, especially young teams, because they're not expecting a team to just be that relentless. And when the next 5 come in, they're just as relentless as the first 5 come in. And that's just a very, very cool style of play to have, and also one that you think you can take against anybody.
Yeah, I'm trying to do the math here kind of on the fly. This is the first time the Wizards have scored under 100 points since December 18th when they faced the San Antonio Spurs, and I believe it's their second lowest point total of the season when they lost to Indiana 119-86 to drop to 2-16 on the year. Yeah, they scored under 90 points. Other than that, this is tied with their game against Orlando where they scored 94 points. So this is a Wizards team that isn't good, but they do score the ball, and they've been scoring the ball well as of late. You held them to a very low point total, 17 points in that third quarter with a +14 differential for the Suns, and that defense doesn't drop off. I know a lot of times say, oh, when you go to the bench, those guys, they can keep it up. I look at Devin Booker in the starting lineup is playing fantastic defense. Colin Gillespie leads this team in steals. He's the smallest player that's getting rotation minutes. Dillon Brooks continues to take a heavier offensive load. He still plays great defense. Royce O'Neale hasn't played the best defense this year, but he gets the job done. All of your starters, all of your stars, all of your bench players, they all try hard on defense, and that is how you don't lose trap games, is playing hard on that end.
I think it starts with Mark as well, because those guys trust that he's going to protect the rim behind him, right? And so it makes it easier for guards and stuff to play a little harder, play a little more aggressive, because if they do get beat, they know they got a guy that's going to help stop it at the rim. And we saw Mark do that effectively tonight. So much so he got one without actually hitting it. He pulled it down. And even also tonight had some moments protecting the rim as well. So that Mark has done so many good things on the defensive end that I don't know he gets enough credit for in terms of making the entire team defense that much better, because last year you couldn't rely on anybody behind those guards to stop it at the rim, and they wound up playing so much better this year because of it defensively.
Well, let's give him the credit that he so often deserves but doesn't get. Let's name him our blue-collar boy of the night. Not the most impressive stat line, 11 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists, but 3 blocks, 3 incredibly impressive blocks, plus a full court buzzer beater, not a buzzer beater, beat by the buzzer at the end of the half that didn't count but was still fun. Gil, we've been pretty critical of Mark the last couple of weeks. He's definitely hit some of his low points of the season, but even in a non-impressive statistical night, he is dominant when it comes to doing all of the little things a big man needs to do. A true blue-collar boy who is also like a one-of-one athlete for his size.
Absolutely. We talk about the fact that, his unique blend of height, length, and athleticism. And it's not just, oh, he jumps high. No, he jumps high. He runs fast. He covers a lot of ground with his stride. And yeah, the 3 blocks were great. The one there he snatched out of the net was awesome. Top 5 defensive highlight this team has put forth this season. But what doesn't show up in the stat sheet is how many times guys from the Wizards are thinking twice now about going up. They're altering their shots. They're trying to do all of this. And to your point, Espo, to have a guy like that on the back line of defense in a matchup that's a little more favorable for him to play that way defensively allows Colin Gillespie to go out and have, 4 steals in the game, to play aggressive at that top line of defense and really make your presence felt all across the board and all operate as one. I mean, to only score 93 points in Big 2026, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And to, especially with scores like that. And that speaks to the team defense, but also y'all often talk about the guy who's the help side, the rim protector, is oftentimes that linebacker, the center of that defensive unit, and that's what Mark did.
Yeah, I feel like the last 2 games against Knicks, too, Mark has been extremely aggressive on going for the blocks in the game. So tonight, little things. Again, I'm going to repeat that because that's how they blew out this Wizards team was little things, and Mark was the king of it tonight on the defensive end.
I feel like tonight was maybe their most blue-collariest game, and maybe I'll ask Steven when he calls in here. Block parties everywhere, 3 for Mark Williams, 2 for Oso Ighodaro, 1 for Ryan Dunn, 2 Oh, that's offensive rebounds. 1 for Grayson Allen. Like this was a game where it felt like they were getting block after block. Honestly, I'm surprised they didn't have more than that. And I think that center rotation is really shaping up nicely. I want to give Marcus credit, but Oso Ighodaro has maybe been my favorite Suns player to watch over the last couple of weeks as his confidence continues to soar. His minutes tonight were really impactful. Mark a +10, which is great. Oso a +11. That means you're getting a +21 when those 2 guys are on the court, which adds up to where they were heading into the fourth quarter. Oso in 20 minutes, 10 points, 4-5 from the field, 2 of 4 from the line, which is technically an improvement. 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, and 2 blocks. And to me, the connector nickname, I know that we give Ayrton a lot of credit for that, as we should. I think it's so fitting because he's making plays that, no disrespect to Mark, like Mark can't make, as far as making reads off of the short roll, passing to Grayson Allen in the corner and whatnot. So having those 2 different types of centers who are so positive in their different ways is such a fun little wrinkle into this Suns season that I don't know if we were banking on going into it.
No, they make a great duo because they one's strengths is the other's weakness, and it gives such a change of pace when you look at it for the opponent. It's very difficult to play against guys that have 2 very different styles like that. And it helps you, depending on your matchup that evening, you can rely on one more than the other if you need to. And that's not where we expected back in the middle of November. A lot of us were calling, myself included, we're scratching our heads as to why Oso was still in that rotation with how bad he was playing. But again, Coach Ott showed that belief, and it pays off. And it has really helped that he got to play through that and learn his way through it, and it's showing now.
Thinking about what you said about Oso being able to do things that Mark can't do, I don't even think it's disrespectful. I think Oso does things that very few bigs in the league can do, let alone second unit bigs. So the fact that he's able to do that and have that unique skill set while still learning himself and still learning the NBA game, like this is just year 2. We're seeing it in real time. It's interesting to talk about just the young core in general and see where they all are on the developmental path. I think we're still seeing Rasheer take steps across that, and I think we see Man further back on that scale. But I think that you also in real time get to see all these different forms of guys that are proofs of concept. We see Colin, who is way further ahead on that line as far as what he's become this year. I know he's in a little bit of a rough patch, but on a game where he had a rough shooting night, he was still impactful. So talking about Oso, where he is on that developmental range. It was rough a couple months back in November, but now we're in a point where we can trust him to get 15, 20 minutes in these games like this. I know it's against the Wizards, but also you can trust him because if he gives you good 15, 20 minutes, you can rest your starters as much as you rest them tonight. So it all works together, and it's really important to have varying skills because the offense works because of it.
And that rest is so important when you're trying to figure out how to keep Mark healthy too, right? Because
Right.
if you had to overtax him in a game like this, it hurts you when you need him even more.
Absolutely.
It's fantastic. So.
Well, and coming up on a really long road trip as well, which is harder to manage minutes at certain points. And I think your point on the young guys and doing all the little things is so important too. Like 2 points for Colin Gillespie tonight. He didn't hit a single shot, went 0 from deep.
I'm the jinx on these guys. I did
That
it to
is tough.
Royce. I did it to Colin. So
6 rebounds, 5 assists, 4 steals for Colin Gillespie tonight. I mean, again, it's the Wizards, and he's also like a plus 14, but still, like a guy who scored 2 points in 29 minutes tonight was still a positive on the court. Ryan Dunn, I know that he's gotten a lot of hate. I think offensively, he's starting to settle in a little bit. He hit a 3 tonight, was 1 of 3 from deep, 4 of 8 from the field for 9 points, 6 rebounds, and 3 assists, plus a block. 3 of those rebounds offense, including a massive putback dunk, which is probably one of many plays that we could give this, but let's give it our love the play, presented by Arizona Lottery. If you're over the age of 21, play and gift today, because that 3 and that putback dunk from Ryan came in consecutive possessions. You're seeing these guys slowly build and build and build. And we talk a lot about when they're back with Jalen Green, they're going to be better, which is true. We all believe that. But also, hey, over the course of a long season, these young guys, these second-year guys, these rookies, this guy like Colin Gillespie, right, who is playing his first full year in the NBA, hey, they should improve and get better too. It's yet another reason to be optimistic about this team hitting at least one more level this season.
I think those young guys, too, have been the most polarizing, I think, when we talk about the message we see in the chat and things like that, which I think a lot of the reactions are reasonable. Sometimes they're a little irrational, but I understand where the frustration can come from sometimes. But I think tonight, that sequence that you just talked about, I would implore you to latch on to the moments, right? These moments are kind of glimpses of what the team sees from these guys and why that it's a process with these young players. To see Ryan Dunn, again, Steven says it, defense matters. And he says it over and over again, defense matters. What Ryan Dunn is capable of on that end of the floor, everything else offensively is a work in progress, but it's going to get better. So you can latch on these moments. Hey, he had a great drive here. Hey, he had a great putback dunk. His timing was right. He's knocking down jumpers. He's looking confident shooting the ball. These are things that he's going to figure out. And the things that you're worried about being so rough can eventually get better. Same thing with Oso. Same thing with every young player on the team. Just think about those moments and imagine those moments being the norm. And that should get you excited about what they bring to the table.
You're 100% right. Like, and with defense being this team's hallmark, they can let guys have a rough offensive night. A Colin not scoring well, Ryan having a stretch that was pretty rough offensively in the last couple of weeks as well. Since defense is who they are and they play it so well, it's all right if a guy has a rough offensive output if the defense is still there. And we are not used to seeing Suns teams predicated on defense. Has never been the calling card in the past. It is now, and you're seeing it work out so well for this team. They're a top 10 defense, and over the last 10 games, they've been spectacular in terms of their defensive rating and in terms of the points that they're giving up. Overall, the defense has been the hallmark of this team, and that is a fantastic thing for their hopes moving forward, because offense will come and go. Defense travels is what they say.
They say defense wins championships, and maybe let's not get there yet, but it certainly does win you games like tonight and games against the Knicks and games against the Thunder. And they keep you in games that you shouldn't be in, like that game against the Rockets on Monday. And Coach Ott talked about this pregame when asked about Rasheer Fleming's minutes, and just mentioned that we're going to allow him to make mistakes. And I think what really stood out to me from that clip was, but he's got to come along with us, right? Like, we're going to give you the leeway to make these mistakes, but if you do not grow within them and you repeat these mistakes, like, we're not going to give you that leeway anymore. That's why I love the fact that He's still shooting threes. Rasheer is. Ryan Dunn is still shooting threes. Like, Oso made mistakes at the beginning of the season, but they allowed him to play through it. And a lot of the times when you see a turnover, you see a guy make up for it, they sprint to the other side of the court and they play defense. Even down to Isaiah Livers, he does that. But you don't feel empowered to do that if your coach isn't sitting there in the film session and pointing out your mistakes, saying this isn't okay, we need to do this better. But I'm still giving you your minutes. I'm still giving you the reins. I'm still trusting you to make these plays because that's what we think you can do. It is a Jordan Ott thing. It's a player thing. It's a Brian Gregory thing. It's a Phoenix Suns thing. We're going to allow you to make mistakes, and then we're going to move on from it because we trust you to get better and you trust us to continue to put you in positions to get better.
And I like that you preface it by that, by saying it's a Phoenix Suns thing, because I feel like there's some continuity in what we say about things. Like looking at the box score tonight, Rasheer, 0-5 from 3. And I think that throughout this year, I've talked about seeing whether it was Jordan Goodwin, whoever it was, had off shooting nights, but they kept shooting the ball. And that shows that there is a culture that is being cultivated that, hey, the next one's going in. The next one's going in. Because you know who's easier to guard than somebody who can't shoot from deep? Somebody who won't shoot from deep. So the fact that he's still shooting those 3-pointers, they're going to go in. We said it during the game. He made 2 earlier this week. It was like, that shot's going to go in eventually. And he's shooting it with confidence. He's seen it go through the net so many times. I think it's going to happen, but I think that's just so important in the developmental part of bringing those guys along and then coming with you is them buying in and maintaining that confidence.
It'd be one thing, too, if Rasheer's jumper looked broken. It's a good-looking shot. So you have faith that, the mechanics are right. So eventually you will start going in. And, we've seen it with Jordan Goodwin, too. Again, tonight was 1 of 7. But then you'll see him rattle off 8 of 13 as well. And if you're not shooting them, you're not going to hit them. It sounds stupid, but it's the reality of it, like you were saying. If a guy's not willing to shoot, you're going to just leave him open all the time.
You know who's shooting in every shot? The Freckled Mamba, who just added a new emoji for members. It's the Devin Booker professional emoji, of course, part of the new Nike campaign for the Book 2s. There was a pop-up event that you 3 went to before the game where fans could play pickup, buy the shoes, look at everything. Really cool stuff. Have some shorts, some videos going out on our channel, so make sure you're subscribed for that. Make sure you hit the like button on this stream as the Phoenix Suns move to 9 games above 500. We are going to name our dude of the night. We are going to continue to break down this win. Steven will call in from the Morg, and we're going to keep having a good time because, damn it, that's what this season is. A good time, and we'll do it on the other side of our first break. Somebody in the chat earlier asked, where do you guys do your watch parties? I want to come to my first watch party this year. Well, we do it at Gila River Resorts and Casinos, specifically Wild Horse Pass, but you can go to all of Gila River Resorts and Casinos, 4 locations, Vequiva, Lone Butte, Santan Mountain, Wild Horse Pass for an amazing experience every night, but specifically from January 16th to the 24th, you can drive into excitement with the fabulous Corvette giveaway. 4 casinos, 4 Corvettes, 4 chances to win. Here's how you do it. Friday, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. hourly drawings for free bonus play or a finale entry. Tuesdays and Saturdays, earn 4 times entries when you play the card. And Thursdays, 2 p.m. to 5 p.m., a hot seat finale qualifier. Play with the card for your shot. Look, here's when they're giving the cars away. April 27th at Santan Mountain, April 28th at Lone Butte, April 29th at Vequiva, and April 30th at Wild Horse Pass. That's 4 Corvettes given out over the span of 4 days. Don't miss your chance to accelerate into luxury, play, earn, and win at any of their 4 casino locations.
If you've been in an accident, no, I'm not talking about you, the Wizards. That was a wreck of a different kind. But if you've been in an accident and you have a serious injury, the lawyer you choose matters. And the husband and wife law team, Mark and Alexis Breyer, are going to take care of you. Now, I know you guys haven't had this happen, but I had a serious accident that led to injury, and I called a lawyer that did not get the job done. But with the husband and wife law team, they are trial lawyers, and they are going to take care of you if you need to go to trial. But that's not it. The practice is 100% dedicated to injury and wrongful death. So you're not getting a lawyer that isn't actually suited to take care of the kind of case you have. So if you've had a serious injury, call the husband and wife law team first at 602-783-8841 or visit their website in the link in our description and tell them PHNX sent you, and they'll take care of you.
Hit the like button, hit that subscribe button. The Phoenix Suns sleptwalked, overpowered, absolutely dominated the lowly Washington Wizards, and you can dominate your fandom by becoming a diehard today. Get exclusive content, get access to the PHNX Discord lounge, get 20% off all of our paid events, access to premium content, and so much more, including a free t-shirt of your choice for every year that you're a diehard, plus a discount on merch as well. Being a diehard is awesome. Being a member is awesome, but being a diehard is so much more behind the scenes as well. Get yourself an Aligned shirt. Get yourself some PHNX merch at gophnx.com/join. We have the professional calling in and joining us on stream, which is very, very nice to see Devin Booker here in just a second. But it was nice to see a lot of guys tonight, and we haven't given out our dude of the night. And again, like I said, it's very nice that we have multiple people who could be in contention for it. But it's not often we can give this man dude of the night, so let's do it. Presented by Gila River Resorts and Casinos. You do you at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Visit playatgila.com for more details. It's big meal. Royce O'Neale in 25 minutes tonight. 19 points, 6 of 10 from the field. How about 5 of 9 from deep? 7 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, a +18, which is a game high, a season high in points. Gil, it was all Royce O'Neale early, and honestly, it didn't look back from there.
Yeah, season high for Royce O'Neale, and nobody else scored more than him. 19 was the top scorers for the night, and the three-point shooting was there for him tonight. He looked very confident, knocking it down at a lot of different type of circumstances. 5 of 9 from deep for him. And as you mentioned, filled the stat sheet, did a little bit of everything. And games like this, it always is cool to see somebody step up, and Royce has been playing well as of late, or better as of late, and to see him continue that here is a welcome sight, especially to see him see a couple go through, because they're gonna need that from him next week.
And he continues to bring the swag. He did the lighter celebration after, what was that, the cigar celebration from Dillon the other night? Was that who?
Yeah, cigarette.
Yeah, so
maybe
Travel
something
dances,
else.
all that.
You gotta love the fact that Royce also was the guy doing the travel dance the other night. Like, he's a vibes guy. A guy that's going to bring that kind of bench swag, that on-court swag, and this team has so much of it, but he is one of the key leaders on that as well. And when he's hitting that three, he really is a force that can power this team in some ways. Again, another performance where it makes me even more hesitant to consider some kind of move, because usually it's people will gravitate to Royce or they'll gravitate to Grayson. Combined, they were 9 of 18 from deep tonight. Yeah. They had 9 of the 17 threes. I don't think I want to get rid of either of those guys. And Royce has had a lot of nights where it's not just those 3-pointers, like you said tonight, filling that stat sheet across the board.
Last 4 games for Royce O'Neale, here are his 3-point numbers. 5 of 9 tonight, 4 of 6 against the Knicks, 4 of 9 against the Grizzlies, 5 of 12 against the Rockets. Here's how many rebounds he grabbed in each of those nights as well. 7 rebounds tonight, 6 rebounds against the Knicks, 6 rebounds against the Grizzlies, 6 rebounds against the Rockets. How about assist numbers? 4 assists tonight, 1 assist against the Knicks, oh man, 4 assists against the Grizzlies, 3 assists against the Rockets. He's also getting steals, he's getting blocks. He's not the best individual defender, but he's certainly getting it done. You're right, Espo. I am a guy who has changed from the camp of try to trade Royce O'Neale, who still has a couple years on his contract. He's on the other side of 30, but he does so many of the little things for the Suns. And, you look at a Bobby Portis as, okay, maybe that's the guy that you get. What do you want from Bobby Portis? Somebody who could play the power forward, who could hit the three, be a good, defender, and somebody who's a kind of a maniac. I feel like Royce fills a lot of those voids, and certainly there's a chemistry there that's working. Whatever they're doing right now is working.
Yeah, I think Bobby might be a slight upgrade on the defensive end, but you don't want to roll that dice if it's not something that's going to seriously lift your ceiling. And like I mentioned on pregame, it's my understanding that the team's willing to spend into that tax if it is for somebody that is going to raise that ceiling, but they're not just going to do it to do it. It's not something that you mess with it, because they really do like their team right now. So they keep doing this, and Jalen comes back and it answers some of those other questions. I don't think there'll be much more than maybe jettisoning Nick's contract to change some numbers for him and making one of these other guys a full-time contract. Because right now you look at it and it's working. Why mess with anything?
It's working. And one thing you talked about him being a good vibes guy. And sometimes people think that that's just thrown out there, oh, it's fun, but that's really important. We talk about his individual defense, and Steven's been wanting to talk about it, and you can see it too. His team defense, being a veteran and knowing the right place to be, being a good communicator, can kind of make up for some of your deficiencies as an individual defender. Also, a guy who's played on some pretty good teams in the NBA in the past that have achieved some things. So to be that veteran presence, but not just leading with his words, but leading by example. And he seems like a really good teammate that people enjoy playing next to and enjoy playing off of. So all of those things that he does when he's hitting shots, you don't even think about those things as well. But when he's not hitting shots, those things are still there, and a part of who he is as a player. And I think he keeps his spot in the top 10 of threes made in the league this season, which is really, really, really noteworthy.
And he's really good on the team defense, funneling guys where he may not have the same foot speed that he's had in the past, but he's good at altering the direction that they're going to head and trying to force them where the defense wants them, where he has help.
Well, it's coaching. That's a defensive scheme, right? You know your players' weaknesses, you know their strengths. And I also think Royce, being the oldest guy on this team, understands what he's good at and what he's not. Now, are you going to get some dumb turnovers sometimes like you did tonight? Absolutely. Are you going to get not the best shooting percentage inside the arc? Absolutely. But he's not afraid to do these things. He's not afraid to pass the ball. He's not afraid to take the big shot. We saw that against the Knicks off of Devin Booker's gravity, to not pass the ball, pump fake it, and then shoot a three in a big spot to put them up 5. I mean, this is a guy who's seen it all. He's seen the bottom tier teams. He was on the team last year, which I also think is an underrated aspect of why guys like him and Grayson and Book are so happy right now, is because they're like, okay, I feel like we're free. We're the chain breaking free guy in the meme. Like, Royce is one of those dudes that's been around the block and he does everything. He might not start for this team. Also, he might be another guy that you're bringing off the bench, which you had an impressive performance from your bench tonight. Just overall, I don't want anybody to go off of this team. Like, unless somebody's walking up and offering me like multiple first round picks and like a deal you can't refuse, it gets to a point where I don't even know if you do it for what would on paper be a small upgrade, because this is the team that defies what you're supposed to be on paper.
Well, you're definitely not doing anything for future assets like people thought that they were going to be looking at come trade deadline when the season started. You're not dealing guys for picks. You're staying and playing to win right now. As crazy as that sounds, you are in it to try to win games and make some kind of run. Now, maybe you don't win a title. In all likelihood, you don't win a title. But this is about proving that culture, setting that foundation so you can go, look, we weren't the most talented. We played by these principles, and we made it to the playoffs, and we surprised people. We got wins. So you build on that going forward. This team, there's maybe a little room on the margins, but every night somebody else steps up. Every night something else is the reason for them winning. But the coherent thing is it's team basketball. We saw them reach the Steven Prigion Gardner level tonight in assists. They crossed that 26 mark. They had 32. They get the win. I believe that puts them at like 15-2 or 14-2 when they do that now.
So Con in the chat says, does anyone know how many bench points the Suns had tonight? They had 47 bench points tonight. They had 7 from Isaiah Livers in 7 minutes, 10 from Oso, 9 from Ryan Dunn, 4 from Rasheer Fleming, 12 from Grayson Allen, 3 from Jordan Goodwin. The only guy who played tonight who didn't score was Kaman Malawach in 5 minutes, and that's okay at this point. Any other thoughts on Royce O'Neale before we talk about Devin Booker and Dillon Brooks, who we've really yet to get to tonight?
No, but the fact that we haven't talked about Dillon and Devin and you still had this sizable of a win tells you a lot about this team.
Yeah, couldn't have said it better myself.
I love what the whole team did tonight. Like we mentioned, 47 bench points, which is absolutely stupid. Not a single player above 20 points in the game. Royce O'Neale being our dude of the night. But I do want to give a lot of love to Devin Booker, who had 6 assists in the first quarter and completely picked apart the Wizards defense. He ended the night in just 26 minutes with 17 points, 8 assists, 3 rebounds. That's it. But I thought his defense also popped again tonight. I want to continue to give him flowers on that side of the ball because he is not slacking off by any means. And maybe that point of the fact that we're not talking about him first and we're talking about everybody else has allowed him, Gil, to lock in on that side of the ball. And he still trusts his teammates. 8 assists tonight, probably could have had more, but 6 in the first quarter is bonkers.
8 assists in 26 minutes of play. And there was one on the defensive side of the ball. I don't remember who it was from Washington, but we commented on it in real time as we were watching the game. Book was vertical, had great help side defense, and whoever was went into him and couldn't finish. And it's little plays like that that won't go on any highlight reel. It doesn't show up as any kind of stat, but make a mental note of that. Again, kind of goes back to what Coach Ott said the other day. Your best player is willing to play defense. Your best player is willing to be in the help side. Your best player is a two guard or a point guard who's leading the offense and running the offense, but also using his size and athleticism to be a rim protector at times. That stood out a lot for me. And the fact that he got so many people involved, that they were scoring off of his assists, that he scoring off his passes. Obviously, they're scoring off his assists. They're assists. Scoring off of his passes. We got to take a look at the scorers keepers over there for not scoring off his assists. But the fact that he was leading people and putting them in positions to score in this game just shows the multifaceted level that the player that he is and the way he's able to just play, making control a game that way as well.
Well, you say it won't be in a highlight reel, that play, but you know it'll be on Coach Mott's film reel there when they're looking at it the next game or excuse me, the next night when they're going over film. That's going to be there because that's exactly what you're talking about. What he was praising him for is doing that. But you look at his last 5 games, he's had 9 or more assists in 4 of them. Right, and we've heard some criticism of him getting teammates involved, and they're winning. Right, that's all that matters. Is that he's getting teammates involved, and they're winning, and it's been spectacular from his standpoint. Even though he's not scoring, at the high mark that we've seen him do so in the past.
Yeah, and not a lot of turnovers either tonight. 1 turnover. New York, 2 turnovers. Memphis, 2 turnovers. Houston, he had 4 turnovers, which was unfortunate because he only had 3 assists, but that Houston defense is pretty staunch. Game before that, 9 assists to 1 turnover against the Oklahoma City Thunder, right? So we saw last year Book did struggle in the turnover margin and struggled on defense, and these are things that he's cleaned up this year. Unfortunately for Devin Booker, tonight will not be a game counting stats-wise that will help him towards all-star consideration. You have to hope that the players and the coaches who will be voting and the media, they understand that this impact that he's had and the fact that there are a couple games now where he hasn't had to crack over 30, 31 minutes, that also plays into his counting stats being a little lower than you would expected, but still not low on the season.
The coaches do not take this for granted, nor do players.
But do they care about all-star voting is the question.
Well, I mean, in the past, they have, fought for Book and stood up and been like, no, this guy. I mean, hell, Dame, when he got injured, said that's the guy that should be in it for me. You look at coaches and players and how they praise Book. I don't think it's lost on them because when they play the Suns, he's triple circled in red on the game plan.
He's at the top. He's the first name listed on that scouting report.
First, second, and third on that scouting report. Maybe Dillon slides in there too, but Devin's the guy that they're focused on for sure.
And I do want to point out, I know it was 1 of 4 from 3 tonight after a pretty solid showing from beyond the arc. But that one was the one we've been longing for. Again, that transition three-point that he's been wanting to get. And he's gotten it a couple times in the last week or so. He got one in Houston, I think. But to get that tonight, for that to be the 1 of the 4 that he hit, lets me know that it was an off night and not the way that it had been in a few weeks. It just was one of those regular off nights.
Yeah. An off night. Who cares? This team is winning, right? That's the only thing that matters. Last player to talk about really today before we get into some sound from Coach Dillon Brooks. Another quiet-ish Dillon Brooks game. 16 points in 24 minutes. Shot 50% from deep on 8 attempts. I love this guy, man. He did pick up a tech tonight, which was unfortunate. His 13th on the season. 3 away from a suspension. In a game and that's the thing is a game like tonight.
Don't waste it.
Yeah, but you can't turn him off. There's no off switch on Dillon Brooks. He is who he is.
Which is what you love about him and how you want him to lead by example. I mean, you don't want him to get the tax, but him not turning it off is in part why this team does it. It's in part why Grayson the other night got that great, didn't give up on the play, got that out of bounds play against the Knicks. He is the example. He's the guy that I'm 100% sure that they point to and go, this is the way we want to play, giving it everything every second you're on the court.
I'm laughing not at you, but at the concept of don't waste your tech on this like it's a coach's challenge or something. Listen, you got 15 techs before you get suspended on the 16th. Don't waste one on a game against a team that's 18 games under 500. Don't use it tonight. But it ends up happening. Now he only has 2 left, and then the 16th will be that suspension, which at this point I think it's inevitable.
Oh, it is. It's 100.
Could you imagine if he didn't?
That'd be
if he was getting to 15, then he just stopped.
Stops.
He's trying to make a point. Like,
yeah. He's like, I don't have to do this anymore.
Like I can if I want, and I can stop at any
he
time.
He could breathe, and they'd give him a tech. Look, I don't think there's too much to dive into Dillon Brooks' game tonight. I think it was just another good, solid game from him. We do have some sound from Jordan Ott. Steven will join us soon, so let's get into all of that. While we also hate watch the Rockets scoreboard right now, who are in a tight one with the Kings on the other side of our final break. Look, Bet365 tried their best to help me out tonight, and I couldn't get the job done, but a lot of you guys have, and of course it's never ordinary with Bet365, the NFL playoffs right now. Of course, the NBA season is in full swing. If you take the Suns to cover the spread, you're doing pretty well for yourself every single night. There's just everything over at Bet365, and right now, new customers get $200. They upped it from $150 to $200 in bonus bets when you bet $5, win or lose. Sign up, use code PHNX365, deposit 10, place a bet for $5, get $200 in bonus bets if your bet wins or loses. Bonus bets can be used on spreads, totals, player props, futures, and more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. You must be 21 plus and physically located in Arizona. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP, text NEXT-STEP to 52342, or visit problemgambling.az.gov.
I keep talking about how I want to redo a bathroom that me and the missus have talked about it, and she came up to me yesterday and she said, are we really going to redo that bathroom? So now I'm committed to it, and I'm going to Window Depot. Gil, I know you keep saying Espo. Window Depot? They sell windows. And Gil, I've explained it multiple times. They sell more than just windows. They're more than a window store. They have cabinets, countertops, whatever you're looking for to get the job done, they can get the job done. The best part is they have designers who will help you for free. It's unbelievable. They've got the best prices and the best selection. Plus, builders love them and homeowners do as well. So you're going to want to head out to one of their 7 Valley locations. They got them in Phoenix, Tucson, Marana, and Chandler. If you don't know, Marana's down near Tucson. And there's no membership policy. It makes it easy for you to get what you need fast. So you're not going to have to worry about that. Shop at one of their 7 locations and see for yourself why they're more than just a window store. Do it today.
In the chat, somebody asks, Elko asked, do you get another 16 techs after the first suspension? Nope, you get 2. It's every other tech, right? So not
16, 18, 20.
16, 18, 20.
Why is that though? I mean, why?
Because they don't want a guy just to rack up
reset the clock.
Because then you're going to race to 16. And Dillon Brooks would probably have like 45 techs right now. But look, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. We are just keeping an eye on Rockets Kings. Kings are up 10 with just under 3 minutes left to go in the fourth. If the Rockets do not pull it out tonight, they fall into the play-in. The Suns move up to the 6th seed. Minnesota did pick up a win today, a buzzer beater from Anthony Edwards, or game winner, to give a little bit more cushion. But the Suns closing in on an actual playoff spot and possibly passing the Rockets, which would be so sweet. We could talk a little bit more about that in a second. Let's get into some sound from Jordan Ott tonight. So we mentioned the Wizards had not scored less points than tonight. They scored 93 tonight. The next lowest was 94 against Orlando. Well, guess what? This was also a season low in points allowed for the Suns. Coach Ott talked about their defense.
Those second and third quarters, I thought really the whole game, but those 3 quarters that our guys really decided to just impose our will. Just another night that we apply enough pressure on the ball and turn teams over. I thought Mark was great at the rim at times. You could really feel his presence down there. Just overall, just intent tonight to come out, do what we do, play really good defense, and help fuel our offense.
I think imposing your will is, again, the sentence I latched on from that, because we've talked so much about who the Wizards are or who they aren't, and we know that. The Suns know that. The standings show that. But to say, look, we're going – Thank you. But to say we're going to come in and we're going to play this way, we're going to impose our will on them regardless of all that stuff, we're going to make this our game, that shows with the defense, that shows with holding them to fewer points than anybody else has scored on you this season and fewer points than they've scored in a long while with the offensive dynamos or the offensive potential in that locker room. I think that's what that speaks to.
Well, and we were talking about it during the game, those plays under the basket after a miss, even if Washington got the ball back, they swarmed them at times, and they caused those turnovers down there. That to me is imposing your will, right? Not even giving them the room to breathe to get the ball up court after you either made a mistake or missed a shot. And that paid dividends on the defensive end as well. This team is doing what they want from a defense perspective night in, night out.
Well, and it was in that second quarter, too. The first quarter, like we mentioned, the Wizards had a good first. They scored almost 30 points, their highest scoring quarter of the night, two ahead of the fourth quarter, which didn't even matter. And to start the second quarter, the Suns were full court pressing. And again, you having a bad quarter is fine. Having two bad quarters against the Wizards, well, then you go into half with a Washington team that's been playing better and that has this confidence. This team knows when they need to turn it on, when they kind of can coast, even though they don't coast that much. Like, they know when to do that. That's not a switch that many teams can flip on either side of the ball, but especially defensively. I'm not trying to harp on him because of the history, but you look at like DeAndre Ayton over at the Lakers, right? He can't just flip the switch and be a dog defensively. Like,
he can flip the switch the other way.
Yeah, he can flip the switch. Like, he can either be like somewhat engaged or completely out of it, right? It's not an at-will thing for DeAndre Ayton. It's I need to be fed the ball, I need to be put in the right position, and then maybe I'll give it to you somewhat consistently. Ryan Dunn could not take a shot, and he's still going to pick up full court. Mark Williams could not get the ball fed into the post for him, and he's still going to sprint all the way down the court to contest a fast break or run for a lob after getting a massive block. It's consistent. Maybe consistency should be the word with this team, because that's what everybody's been, is consistent. Consistently a dog, which not many people can be either, but definitely consistent.
Being consistent, being resilient, and being relentless. And responding. I think responding is the big thing, because we talk about it on a game-to-game level, but even within the game, we just talked about it. We lamented the fact you allowed the Wizards to shoot 55% in the first quarter. What's going on? Responding to that, one, picking up full court, but two, second and third quarter, you hold them to 39 points, and they shoot 14 of 44 from the field in those two quarters combined. So that's a response in real time. That's a team that did not want to prolong this any longer than it needed to be, and they got straight to it and responded within the 48 minutes.
What's the old Mike Tyson saying? Everybody has a plan until they get punched in the
face.
mouth. The Suns have a plan, and then even if they get punched in the mouth, it just makes them angry, and they play harder with it. And forcing turnovers, and in particular steals, has been a calling card. They forced 22 tonight, 11 of which were steals. They're one of the better teams in stealing the ball in the NBA, and that's a big part of it too, but that's a lot of that effort, that resiliency, all those things you talked about, Kim.
Yeah, and it all comes down to coaching, like we've talked about. And I want to play this one because I'm really excited to hear this clip. Devin Booker and Royce O'Neale, by the way, podium game for Royce O'Neale tonight, talked about why Jordan Ott is Coach of the Year.
I just say, he's a guru. He studies the game at a high level. I've spoken on it before. He's not just watching our games. He's watching everybody across the league and what's working and what's not. The evolution of it, he doesn't feel like he has all the right answers. He understands that the game's changing and evolving at the same time, and you have to keep up. So, I noticed that when I got to meet with him before we hired him as a coach, and, everything has stood true in that department.
And just to go off what he said, I think he has a way with connecting with the players, putting us in position to succeed, offensively and defensively, connecting us. I think he's also willing to listen, see what we see out there and why he's coaching us, and him listening to adapting during the game. So I think it's just all the above.
I think two things that stood out for me from that, both came from Book, but one, sometimes you kind of wonder, like, what is this star player doing in the interview process? Not like that he doesn't belong there, but like, what role does he play? And I think that them cultivating that relationship early on built the trust that we see now. The second thing is here that Jordan Ott is watching everything going on around the league. And you might see something that one team does against the team that you were playing down the line and say, how can we have this, our own version of that wrinkle? And I think that is why we see the success that the Suns are having against teams second and third time playing against them because of that. And the proof is just really in what we're seeing from this team. And it's very obvious that the guys who are in the locker room all the time aren't just blowing smoke, but we can see what they're talking about.
Yeah, and the reason it's a copycat league is because good coaches are watching
Right.
everything and going, if that worked against OKC, we're going to do it. And you saw a lot of teams try to do what the Suns did against the Spurs after the Suns did it to the Spurs because good coaches are watching everything.
Look, good coaches are watching. We have, I think, a future coach joining us now live from the Morg. It's Steven Prejean Garner. Steven, do you have the Rockets-Kings box score up like I have right now, just waiting for Houston's inevitable demise?
I do not right now, but I did see Thompson absolutely obliterate somebody just before I hopped on the pod. So did not see the box score though.
Well, speaking of obliterating, the Sacramento Kings are up 109-95 with a minute left on the Kings.
111.95 now.
Oh, 111.95.
Yeah.
But
Ime is gonna blow a gasket or two.
KD's already throwing water bottles. But we're not here to talk about the Rockets. No, we're here to talk about the Phoenix Suns, who picked up yet another victory tonight. Steven, a season low in points. We heard Jordan Ott talk about it. We mentioned how they just kind of flipped a switch after that first quarter. What did you see schematically from the Suns that helped keep a high-scoring Wizards team in check?
Meet force with force. You want to score? What about if we tell you you're not gonna do it comfortably? You hold on to 93 points on severely subpar shooters from the field. And it wasn't just the numbers. It was when you watch it, you could see them impacting the rhythm of the shots they were creating, the cadence at which they were creating those shots, and the way they were rotating to get up a solid contest on many of those shots as well. This Suns team defensively is real. That's the identity stamp inside of it. When you think about the moments where we've seen them at their best, comeback wins against teams that they quote unquote shouldn't be competing with on a game-by-game basis, everything always comes back to the defense. They care. They, as a lot of coaches say, they have the give a damn factor about the defensive end of the floor, and it shows in the qualities of not just the top tier players as far as Devin and Dillon, but also goes down to the quote-unquote last guys picked on the roster, and Jordan Goodwin and Jamari Bouye when he's available. And I think that says a lot about the culture.
Does that surprise you? Because we heard Jordan Ott was the guy that ran the the Cavs offense last year, and then they have a very defensive-minded team, but the scheming has been fantastic on that, and we know what the expectations were coming in. It seems like they take a great deal of pride in it, but does it surprise you that that's become the strength?
Nah. If you go back to the conversations we had before the season started, I was a little more in the gray about the offense, just because so many new pieces, figuring out how they were going to mesh together, et cetera, et cetera. The defensive end is where I felt like they would be. I think top 12 is what they had the potential to be. And coming into today, they were 7th in defensive rating. So that speaks to just how good they are on that end. I felt like the compilation of point of attack defenders they had, having an actual rim protector and rim deterrent in Mark Williams that doesn't just say those qualities, but actually shows it, and you can see the impact on the floor with it. Then having to change the pace big like Oso to switch around them, not knowing that Mark was also going to be able to switch to these extents. Like this team is real on that end of the floor. So this is the least surprising as far as the newness in terms of what we were expecting coming into this season.
On the other end of the floor, to quote you from a couple weeks ago, I think we called 32 assists on 40 made field goals Looney Tune-ish. What were you so impressed by? I know books at the tone, but the ball movement and the offense that they had tonight.
Yeah, I think it continues to be trust in the pass, but every pass is made with intent. Devin gets double teamed. He makes a pass to someone that's open. They make the next decision, whether it be to shoot it, to move it, to drive it, and then get it to where it needs to go to finish on the advantage. And they just rinse and repeat across multiple lineups. Regardless of who's on the floor, the ball is popping tonight. Even with the majority reserve unit where Colin Gillespie was in with 4 of the reserves. They come in to start that second quarter, and it's moving. Transition skips, hitting a rim runner ahead. Obviously, a handful of alley-oops thrown tonight. Even just in the half court, like not just in transition, even in the half court, they were trusting the next pass to lead to the next, And all of a sudden, you get someone taking a wide open three. They miss it, but because the defense has had to rotate so much, Ryan Dunn is completely unaccounted for and gets another one of those audacious putback dunks with one hand. All of that stems from the movement. Paint touch is movement. Paint touch. Defense is scrambled.
Was this the blue collariest of wins tonight? Like their most blue collar win of the season?
No.
Really? Then tell me what was.
Well, when you beat the defending champs and you hold them to close to 100 points and you fluster Shai Gilgeous-Alexander to not even being on the floor for a final possession of a game, I think that starts it. You also play Wembanyama literally off the floor early in the season in a situation where people were saying that your start was a fluke, et cetera, and you set the success bar for teams to try to meet and match with their personnel defensively against Wemby. I think those two, the comeback against Minnesota at home, where you had no business in terms of probability winning that game in the final 90 seconds, 80 seconds, with Devin Booker and Dillon Brooks out. That's the top three.
I just wanted you to list them off.
We can turn this into a whole podcast.
Top 10.
Want to. I think the fact that this is even a conversation that this might not be in their top 4 or 5 this season speaks to who this team is.
I like what a GDP Smoke says in the chat. Most professional win of the season. Like we mentioned before on the show, Nobody scored over 20 points, 47 bench points, lowest point total of the season, and you do it on the last game of a homestand against a Washington team that is not good but has been better. So just true professionals like Devin Booker tonight.
On the book 2 night too. So yeah,
100%. Jordan Knott kind of gave them a little bit of a salute for the business-like approach to it. It's easy to, after some of the marquee matchups they've had, come into this one also knowing that this team is without 2 of their best scorers because of trade, and then Trey is not available because of injury. You can kind of gloss over this and try to skip a step in the process. But he said his guys were all locked in, and needless to say, after the first handful of minutes of the game, we saw exactly what that looked like.
Is that just what we should expect a Jordan Knott team to be? Is just come in and every night is its own kind of little thing encased there that they just focus on? Because it doesn't seem like it matters whether you're playing OKC or you're playing Washington. They come in with the same mindset, the same approach, and are just locked in regardless.
Yeah, I think it's kind of similar to the blue collar dynamic that I've been kind of emphasizing. Like, I think they have it from the top in terms of Jordan Knott spearheading it, and then obviously the top tier players wearing it. But I think the entire roster wears that same quality the same, where they want to just approach it the right way because they care a lot. They give a damn, like I was saying earlier. And I think that matters because, again, we always talk about the mundaneness of 82 games. We're getting close to the halfway mark. You got a game against the Washington Wizards after they just made a trade that undid a lot of the success that they saw recently. And then you got this 6-game road trip coming up to start on Tuesday. You could easily be looking ahead. Man, let me make sure I got my bags packed mentally. Did I check my bags before I left the crib? No, let's focus on the work. And then everything else will align as it needs to, so long as you handle your business in the present. And I think that presence that they have, that intentionality behind being where their feet are, is showing in the results. This is like the 4th time or 3rd time they've held a team under 100 points in the new year. That's not getting nearly enough attention. And they haven't been going up against Washington this entire new year so far either. So I think people need to pay more attention to what this defense is doing because it's real.
You mentioned intention, and before the game, I know we had a little bit of what Jordan Knott was talking about Rasheer. He ended up with 13 minutes in this game. Ryan Dunn, 19 minutes, also 20 minutes. Before you joined, I talked about the moments from these young guys. What'd you see from that trio? Anything specific? The moments that are important that carry over into who they are going to become in this league.
Yeah, Gil, I think you know this better than anybody on our podcast, man. Energy is contagious. And when you got individuals that just bring it on a nightly basis, Maybe Devin has a slow start at some point. Maybe Dillon has a slow start at some point. Maybe it's foul trouble for somebody. Also, at a different position than Ryan, then at a different position than Rasheer, they all just bring energy. They all bring it. Didn't mention Jordan Goodwin with that mix, but I don't know if anybody brings more energy than he does when he comes into the game. That it just grows contagious, and the fact that those four were literally in the same lineup with Colin Gillespie to kind of spearhead the Suns playing the game on their terms early in that second quarter. That's what a team is. Guys aren't always going to have their energy. Guys aren't always going to have their rhythm. But one thing you can control is your energy and approach and finding intentional ways to impact the game off of that. As long as that's conducive to winning, which it always is with those guys especially, the sky's the limit, no pun intended. And I think that's why they're such game breakers, game busters when they're all on the floor together.
Stephen, are you claiming that Eric and I don't know energy? Like, are we just
First
not
time in my
energy
life
guys?
somebody said that about me.
Only the
I
man
think he
here
means
knows
on
it?
the court.
Or does he just feed off of our energy? Is that what it is?
The latter.
What Steven's
I'm
going
assuming
for?
you meant
Okay.
on the court, Steven.
Context matters, yes. Context matters. Absolutely. Because I think we all bring our own individual energies to our show, and that's why our show is so successful. We bring it all together, and now you look at the best coverage of the Suns that you're going to find anywhere in the country, anywhere in the world.
I mean, that is true. We got people in the chat talking about how this is their favorite Suns show. People saying we helped them through a dark time. ADR, appreciate you. N Stacker, appreciate you. Appreciate everybody who's in the chat with us. For a lot of you, you know, this has been a long journey through some pretty low lows in Suns land. And it's hard to think just like 365 days ago just how drab it got, because as the Phoenix Suns kind of get things together now, this is when things really started to fall apart for the Suns after Christmas and beyond. So it's just such a wild turn of events. But Steven, something that you said the sky's the limit. And right now the Phoenix Suns, they just entered the 6th seed. They are past the Houston Rockets for now a playoff spot. They are 9 games over 500. Jalen Green has played 30 minutes. How much better can this team be when fully healthy?
In terms of their own level or in respect to the league, like how do you want me to
give me their own level? Like give me a percentage. Like Jalen Green can make this team blank percent better than what they already are.
I think Jalen can make them 15 to 20% better than what they are now.
They are 9 games over 500.
And I say that context-wise because you look at what's been lacking, you look at what they've been in desperate need of, you look at what's made them good, energy's made them good, activities made them good. Regardless of some of the decisions he might make, he's going to bring those things every time he's on the court. And then you talk about what's been missing, rim pressure, guys that can score in the non-Devin Booker lineups without having to bring someone else to the ball. And then guys that are just going to be able to put the ball in the basket in multiple ways, not taking the ball out of Devin's hands, but also being able to let Devin work off the ball, have a tilted defense be working to him. All of those things matter. And I think Jalen brings that in spades so much that, again, it's going to hit like a shot in the arm for this team, because some of the things that teams have grown comfortable doing with Devin so far this season, you already can't do that with the ways that Royce and Grayson have been shooting the leather off the ball and how Dillon Brooks has been on the second side. What about when Jalen's in the mix with all of that and 4 of those 5 guys are on the floor at the same time? Like, you have business decisions to make, and they can counterpunch with something that they're more than okay with living with.
And you didn't even mention that then likely moves Colin back to the bench, which gives him back that position that he was thriving in. It changes that whole dynamic. There are so many things that it impacts, Steve, and you're 100% right.
And I think it helps them play faster, too. Colin being in that reserve unit, I think I don't want to say that he's been overthinking, but I do feel like he's a little bit more hesitant at times when he's on the floor with the starters versus when he's in that reserve, that kind of 6th starter role, if you will. When he's back in that role and he's pushing pace off the bench and picking up 94 feet and doing all of the things that he's shown to grow with, I think that's the best version of this team. And I don't think we really even know what their ceiling can be, simply because they've been so good already without having a large piece of their offense, especially in Jalen.
Any final thoughts on a win tonight before we're back at it tomorrow? All four of us in studio for a 3 p.m. show.
Yeah, I got a couple thoughts. Y'all like alley-oops or what?
They're fun.
When they connect, yeah.
And they were connecting tonight.
For sure. I think Devin mentioned in postgame that he's found something recently as far as his touch on those. I think it was clearly evident. He didn't miss on any of those reads in terms of timing, but also the accuracy with those passes. He surmised it simply as just getting the ball over the outstretched arms of the defender that's between him and the recipient. Sometimes it is that easy, man. You ain't got to really think too much on that. If you got Mark Williams in his 7'4" wingspan rolling to the rim with speed, put it around that square and let him do what he does. And let him do the kind of heavy lifting on that. So for one of the best playmakers in the league, him kind of having a light bulb moment and how to deliver the ball to guys there and do it multiple times in today's game, I think says a lot about, again, that willingness to find ways to expand your comfort zone for the betterment of the team. Devin continues to knock down some threes. I think that part matters as well going into this this upcoming road stretch that I'm sure we'll be talking a lot about tomorrow. And then the last thing for me is also Iguodala continues to find ways to impact the game. While this team is operating without another real center behind Mark Williams right now, him being able to bridge that gap and add impact on top of that is everything, because I think it allows for Mark to be more comfortable, sometimes only playing 18 or 16 minutes, because Oso can just be that impactful at times.
Steven, thank you so much for joining us from the Morg. Of course, we'll talk to you tomorrow.
We should all throw up the Royce O'Neale threes as well. 18 for 36 over the last 4 games. It's pretty good. So you should all throw up the Royce O'Neale three.
Oh, we're doing the lighter. Did you see the lighter?
Oh, you could do that one too. Yeah, you could do that one too. I like that one.
Somebody do that here. Do the Dillon smoking Sally, and there you go. Look, Steven, you're doing wonderful stuff as always at all the practices, the shoot-arounds, posting your stats and your breakdowns on your social at StevenPG3. That is Steven with a PH. Looking forward to talking to you tomorrow in person, my guy. We'll see you soon.
Yep, see y'all tomorrow.
Woo!
I want to go back to the ADR comment. He said, man, I love these guys so much. Believe it or not, this podcast alone is helping me through the darkest of time in my life. Thank you guys so much. Feel like y'all are my family. I want to say this to you, ADR. Times get tough. There are always dark times that come through. I'm glad we could help with that, and just keep the positivity, the hope with whatever's going on. You'll get through it, and you'll be better for it.
And we'll be here. We'll always be here. Every single day, we will be here. Thank you for being here. Thank you all for being here. Let's read some super chats here from AZ Master Baker. $5 super chat says, last year's team would have lost this game. They underachieved. This team overachieved. I don't even know why we did a podcast. We should have just read that and moved on with it, because that pretty much sums it up perfectly. Thank you, Master Baker. Animan Hoops celebrates 1 month of membership, says, I DM'd Katie about the scapegoat comment and told him real Suns fans don't feel that way. And he DM'd me back. What he said was interesting. And that's the end of the chat. Come on, bro.
Well, I can tell you, yes, he does DM back or starts DM conversations. So that's
what did he say? What did he say? Oh, let's see. Seems like what Katie said is the front office wanted Katie off the team and tried to make it seem like Katie was the issue with last year's team's issues. I don't know why he thinks that. Well, they didn't try to trade him.
I mean, he's allowed to feel however he wants and use that whatever way he wants. And this team's allowed to, move forward how they have as well. And I think he views Houston as a better opportunity for him right now. And the Suns are viewing right now as the opportunity that they're looking for.
Don't get it twisted. The Houston Rockets are the most dangerous play-in team in the NBA. Fire Lord Wilson, the Suns are in 6th. Stick it to the doubters. And Kara celebrates 3 months of membership. Let's go, Kara. Says 6 seed Suns. This team is awesome. Thank you, Kara, for being a member. Also, Jeff Blazer renewed his membership at the beginning of the show, so we need to give him his MVP chance.
MVP, MVP, MVP,
Thank you so much, Jeff, for renewing your membership with us and continuing your access to exclusive emojis like the one that Ayrton added during the show, exclusive content, and, of course, so much more.
You talked about 6 seed. They're only half a game back of those fakers, the frauds in LA right now for 5th as well. So
they're a game and a half behind the Minnesota Timberwolves, who have been playing very impressive basketball as of late, but they do own the tiebreaker. They're only 2 games behind the Denver Nuggets for the 3 seed, and they're only 3 games behind the San Antonio Spurs for the 2nd seed. Now, again, do I think the Suns are going to be the 2nd or 3rd seed?
Let's get delusional.
I don't think they will. But to act like it's not a possibility,
the 1st seed?
Yeah, the 1st seed. to act like it's not a possibility it's irresponsible at this point, because like Steven said, and I want you guys to put a number on it, and maybe this is what we talk about more in depth tomorrow. Like, the Suns are going to get a significant percentage better here in the next week with Jalen Green returning. Is that 3 games better? Because if it is, and let's say the Spurs have a slide, let's say Wemby goes out, let's say the Nuggets can't continue to tread water without Jokic. We know the Lakers are frauds. The Timberwolves, you have the tiebreaker against. Is it impossible to imagine this team having home court advantage in the playoffs?
3 games better puts them at 53 wins for the year.
On a pace, let's see, if they're 24 and 15,
that would put them 12 games over. That would put them 12 games over 500.
Jeez.
That'd be 53 wins if they're just 3 games better with Jalen Green the rest of the way than they've been playing. Now, that's a lot to think about. That's a lot of ifs. I don't know, but the fact that you're sitting 9 games above 500 and you're only sitting 2 games out of that 3 seed, let's just quote freaking KG. Anything is possible, because it is.
That was basically the gist of the quote I was thinking about trying to go for. I'm a butcher it probably, but it's like, your expectations don't exist in my world. And we're talking about this team who was, again, 31 and a half wins. They're 24 and 15. So whatever outlandish delusion that got them here could get them to any of the top seeds, could get them the home court advantage. I remember I said it last week. And
I was losing my mind.
You were like, oh, he's really in.
I'm literally just giggling over here. Like, I have to lean away from the microphone because I'm giggling too much at the idea of
but realistically, I think the biggest thing about this team is that they take care of business in games like this, and slumps happen. Everybody deals with slumps. This team has dealt with it already. Injuries happen. Everybody deals with injuries. This team has dealt with it already. So hopefully, if you're on the right side of all that adversity, schedule adversity, injury adversity, you have a good opportunity to just continue to play at the pace that you're playing at right now. You finish the season 9 games over 500. You get better with Jalen Green coming in the lineup. Now we're talking even more than that. And then again, everybody else, if they continue up and down and you kind of just stay that steady, constant force, there's no telling where that lands you.
I'm just looking at these standings. So playing a Western Conference schedule, playing probably one of the hardest schedules in the league, the Suns would be the 4th seed in the Eastern Conference by half a game, and a half a game away from the 3rd seed, and a game and a half out of the 2nd seed in the Eastern Conference.
Damn geography.
Playing a Western Conference schedule, right? Like, like we all, everybody up here thought this team would be better than everybody else thought, right? But to be sitting here and talk about them being this good and just can tangibly be better with so many guys continuing to play up, I'm not going to take it for granted, and none of us should take it for granted. Like tonight in the Memphis game, 2 easy cakewalk blowout wins, games that quite frankly had their highlights but were overall boring. I'm not taking that for granted.
We didn't sweat, not once.
Not once.
I know the Suns have played a Western Conference heavy schedule, but they have the most wins against Western Conference teams outside of only OKC. They have 20 wins. That's pretty damn impressive in a difficult West right now.
I mean, who's the next closest? I'm looking at it is 16 wins for the Nuggets.
Lakers have
18. Okay.
But the Lakers are fraudulent. They have a negative point differential. They're the only team in the top 8 with a negative point differential in the West. They are completely and utterly fraudulent.
Yeah, no, they are. They have a 4-4 record against the division. The Suns have an 8-4 record against the division. Like, these teams are also just playing less teams against the West in less days, and that also kind of, Gil, has this wear down effect, or at least it should, on the Suns, to where it's like, man, trial by fire. Man, they should be slowing down right now because they've had such a gauntlet of a schedule and gauntlet of teams. What the Suns have already gotten through lies ahead for a lot of these teams in the Western Conference. Like Houston's 22-14. They've played 3 less games than the Suns right now. And they have a losing record on the road, by the way. The Suns don't have a losing record on the road. They have a losing record against their division. And the Rockets have a losing record in the Western Conference at 12-13. They have played, they've played 8 less Western Conference games than the Suns. And they have a losing record.
That was going to be what stands out to me, because them being 12-13 against teams in the West means they're 10-1 against teams in the East, meaning they've played a lot of teams from the East. And the Suns, their record against teams in the East, 4-2. Now, they're going to make up a lot of ground over the next week and also the rest of the month. It's all Eastern Conference opponents. A lot of them are going to do double dips over the course of the next couple of weeks. So you talked about it. This team would be among the elite in the Eastern Conference. We're about to see them compete against some of the elite from the Eastern Conference. Saw it over the weekend. Turned out pretty well for this team. So that is exciting in itself to see how this team can measure up against some of the better teams in the other conference, which generally is a little weaker.
Well, and they should be 5-1 against the East because they had that game against Atlanta and they essentially blew it.
They did blow it.
Atlanta played well.
Atlanta played well.
Atlanta 50-point quarter win. Of course, without Trae Young, the Wizards without Trae Young tonight. The Suns picking up a win, doing what they needed to do. Just an awesome day, an awesome season. We're going to be back tomorrow to dive into it even more. And B says in the chat, like, everybody deserves this. The fans deserve it. You know, people who cover the team even beyond us deserve it. The NBA deserves it. The NBA is better when the Phoenix Suns are better. And this is just such an incredible story. Final thoughts on being 9 games over 500 and officially a playoff team in the West.
Extremely quiet from book haters tonight, I'll say that.
And Rockets fans, weirdly enough.
The loud minorities are silent tonight. I think I would say, you know, to take care of business, to be 9 games over 500, to take care of home as this team continues to do. You're in a great spot. Again, you know what lies ahead with this long behemoth of a road trip, but you've put yourself in a good position to go into it one test at a time. But I'm confident. I think this team is capable of doing a lot of different things, and having a successful road trip is the next thing I think they're capable of.
We're going to have some fun on this road trip, on tomorrow's show, throughout the rest of the season. We are going to break it all down. We're here for you every single step of the way on the show and on socials as well. You can follow the show at PHNX_Suns. That's on Twitter and on Instagram as well. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, become a member, become a diehard. All of these things are worth it, and they make the seasons more fun to be more involved with the community. We appreciate the Freckled Mamba behind the Mac, making all of the magic happen, including adding a new emoji for our members. You could follow him at Freckled Mamba. You can follow Espo at Espo. You can follow Gil at Gil McGregor _. You can follow me at ERIK RUBY. ADR says, what time is the show tomorrow? Well, tomorrow's show is at 3 p.m. and I am going to say some irresponsible things on it. We'll talk to you then.
Ahoy, hoy.
We all silly like the mayor.